can't let the disease get to that point when we're talking about disease. So what
Mm-hmm.
the natural and ancestral medicine does is not only does it heal the disease, but it allows you to know the root cause of why the disease happened in the first place.
Welcome back to another episode of the Alternative Medicine Podcast. Today, we continue the conversation about healing with the venom of the Kambo tree frog. Rejoining me today is Juan Pablo, an American Colombian shaman who heals people with the Kambo frog. Juan Pablo, welcome back. How are you?
It's good to be back, my brother. Peace, peace,
Yeah.
peace.
Yes, I'm glad you could rejoin me. We had so much to talk about still after last week's episode. So thank you again for rejoining me. And we're going to just try to continue the conversation from last week.
Yeah, man. Let's go deeper and deeper. We kind of
Perfect.
just brushed off the surface level, and then I feel like the listeners want to go down deeper into the rabbit hole.
Yeah. So away we go. We didn't really touch about how exactly you administer the medicine and and what a ceremony is like. So let's start there. Go ahead and explain that for us, please.
So I'll try to make it very, and to speak in simple terms, because it's actually more dynamic and a little bit more complex than what it seems.
Okay.
But pretty much the ceremony is set up with an altar. So um, me as a facilitator, I have an altar, and within that altar, there's specific elements or objects that represents the elements. So we have the elements inside of our body: air, water, fire, and earth. And those same elements are also represented in the altar. So for example, the I have crystals or certain stones that I use. That's the mineral kingdom. The mineral kingdom represents the earth. So the earth element is used to bring forth healing to the body. And then we have the sacred ayahuasca leaves, or what we call here the huayra, or you can use the feathers as well. And that represents the air element within the altar. And the air element within ourselves represents our thoughts, our mind, what we're thinking. And then moving on from that, the water and the altar represents, it's like a special liquor that I use with different plants, and I use this liquor before the ceremony starts. I take a little bit, I don't drink it, and I spit it over the altar, and I start chanting. I start chanting. You know how like there's some alcohols that are literally called spirits. So
Mm-hmm.
with this special alcohol, I'm calling in the spirit of the Kambo frog and shaking the leaves and doing the chants. This is because the spirit of the Kambo frog is the one that comes into the ceremony and helps people heal. So the water element in the altar is represented by it's called Itua. Itua in indigenous language means medicine. And the water inside of ourselves is our emotions. So there's one left. So the fire. There's always tobacco present in most ancestral medicine ceremonies. Tobacco represents our spirit and our inner fire, our will, and our determination and confidence. So tobacco is a very protective spirit and it helps keep people safe. So there will be some moments within any ceremony that I'll light a tobacco. I'll just intuitively know when to do it, and I'll start blowing the smoke. I'll can blow it on people or where I apply the medicine. And so yeah, that's pretty much the base of how the ceremony starts. So I do an initial chant, and then after the initial chant is done, I go around to each person and I start to burn the first layer of the skin with a special stick. And then I put the dots on the men, usually in the arms, because it's closer to our heart. And then the women, I put it on their legs because women are more rooted to the earth. And that's the way we learned in the indigenous tradition. But I also learned a different modality that I now use, and I mix traditional Chinese medicine, so acupuncture,
Mm-hmm.
with the combos. So I'm placing now the points in different meridians in different
Mm-hmm.
parts of the body. So, for example, right here in the middle of the chest is the thymus gland, which regulates our hormones, etc. And I feel like that's also a really good way to pinpoint if somebody wants to work on something more specific. But either way, like wherever you put the medicine, on the arms, the legs, or on the meridians, it's gonna go in the body because it's coming in through the lymphatic system. And then after I burn the people, I start to put the medicine. And the medicine is scraped from this little piece of wood. I activate it with distilled water, and then I place the points wherever it is that I put them on the person's body. And then the ceremony begins. You feel it right away. That you start to feel a lot of heat in your body, like a fever. So what the fever is doing is it's killing off toxins, and it's whenever heat is in the body, it's like you're releasing stuff when you're sweating, all of that. So you're gonna feel a lot of heat. And initially, the rhythm of your heart begins to beat faster, and then I start playing the drum, and then the vibration of the drum with the drum along with the chants, it begins to move stuff in your body, so people begin to purge. And usually those effects of like nauseousness, it's almost like you have a really bad hangover for 20 minutes. But the good thing is that it's only 20 minutes. And then after, you feel amazing for months. So it's worth the trade-off. But the most important part of the ceremony and the hardest part is not even dealing with the effects of the medicine. It's drinking that much water, because you have to drink up to 3 liters of water in a short period of time. So you get to a certain stage where you feel like, oh, I can't drink any more water. But that's when you really have to push yourself and drink that much more water, because the water is going to come in and suck all the toxins out, all the bile, which is what the liver is secreting, and you're going to purge, or you're going to go to the bathroom, or you're going to sweat. And that's pretty much how it goes. But I forgot to mention that we work with 3 different medicines within the Kambo ceremony. So the first medicine is called rapé. Rapé is a shamanic snuff. It's made out of tobacco. It's like in powdered form. And it's also with the ashes of some trees. And the recipe is very safeguarded by the indigenous people in Brazil. So we don't know exactly what's in it. We know there's tobacco for sure and ash. But then according to each tribe, they work with different plants. So the rapé is used for people that, for example, they don't have a clear intention, or they're nervous, or they have the monkey mind speaking a lot before the ceremony, which is normal because you're going into a new experience. So the rapé opens up all the chakras, and it puts you in a meditative state, and where you can find the clarity as to what you're really looking for with the medicine. What do you want to attract into your life? What do you want to let go of? And it's also really good to begin the cleansing process. So that's the first part. We'll apply the rapé, and it's applied with like a long pipe made out of wood, and it goes through the nose, cleans out the sinuses, and decalcifies the pineal. So once the people are done with that, I go on to the step I already talked about, which is applying the points and burning the people. And then finally, to close the surgery or to close the ceremony, we use these drops that are placed on the eyes. And this medicine is beautiful. It's called sananga. And it's a medicine that was used by the indigenous people to go hunting at night, because it gives them night vision.
What?
And it literally cleans their entire eye and decalcifies the pineal.
What is that made out of? Do you know?
It's the extract of the sananga leaf. It's a leaf that's in the Amazon basin in Brazil, Peru, and Colombia. And an interesting story about that medicine, my dad was going to get the LASIK surgery for his eyes, and we did a treatment with this medicine, the sananga, for 2 weeks straight, 1 drop in each eye, and he got his 20/20 vision back. So it's unbelievable. It hurts like hell. It's like they're putting lemon in your eye times like 10.
Ouch.
It burns, but it's important, that pain, because once you dive into that pain and you come out the other side, it's like very catharsis. You have a catharsis emotional. Some people cry, some people scream, some people laugh, some people even have orgasms. It's great.
Wow. That's a whole nother conversation in itself right there. Another healing modality just for getting your vision back. I had LASIK done, and it's a
Mhm.
very strange sensation. You're awake as they cut your eyelid open. I don't know what would be better, having a burning sensation every day or having the cut open. But I think this is less invasive, so I can see that being way better, especially if it works. That's amazing. So I know when we going back, I know about the other medicines that you were talking about. You had mentioned also that you use in like an integrative medicine of chewing on like the coca leaves and a honey with tobacco that allows you to kind of open up the throat chakra when you're having your groups come together and talk.
Mhm.
Could you explain those as well? Because I know those are part of the ceremony and part of the after ceremony as well.
Absolutely. So the two medicines that I mentioned, so the rape and the sananga, are more subtle medicines. So the main medicine that we're doing is the kambo, obviously. It's
Hmm.
the strongest one. It's like the main protagonist. But the other two medicines also help. They work synergistically. So what we do at the end is we share these two medicines, which I have here. And these two medicines are beautiful because in these types of healing modalities, it's almost becoming redundant, the word integration, pre-integration and post-integration. So the pre-integration is how we are preparing ourselves in order to receive whatever healing modality we're going to get into. And then obviously the post-integration is being able to embody and apply the teachings and apply whatever experience and insights and downloads that we received during the ceremony. So these two medicines that I just showed are native to the Colombian territory, and it's pretty much how all the indigenous communities were built off of. Because the first one, which is the ambil, which is a tobacco honey, so the tobacco leaves are cooked for 3 or 4 days on slow heats by the indigenous people while they're fasting and projecting all their prayers and good intentions on the medicine. So as we discussed before, like the way we've used tobacco in the past has been irresponsible, and we've kind of lost touch with the true meaning of the tobacco plant, which is it's a protective spirit. And according to the indigenous people, it was the first plant given to humanity to connect with source. So that's why you're going to see tobacco in a lot of its different forms, whether it's in powdered form, whether it's in a cigar form, present in a lot of these ancient traditions. It's a very important plant. So in this case, the ambil or the tobacco honey also has a salt that is alkaline. It's made from plants, and on a spiritual level, it represents the masculine energy. So our heart and our thoughts, our ability to think critically. So whenever I share my ambil with somebody else, I'm sharing my heart and my thoughts with that person. And it goes together with obviously its counterpart and the feminine energy, which is Mother Coca. So coca leaves grinded up into a fine powdered form, and it has the ash of a tree that's native to Colombia called jarumo. So the coca plant has also been very broadly used, but obviously not for good means. It's turned into cocaine, and obviously living in Colombia, I mean, the whole history that goes behind our country has kind of gave this plant a really bad rap, but in its natural organic form, straight from the mother, it has amazing properties, not only physically, emotionally, but mentally. So on a spiritual level, it opens up the throat chakra, and it allows us to speak from the heart and to speak very clearly and eloquently and to have full concentration, not only to speak, but also to listen to our brothers and sisters. So these two medicines combined, I usually give them to the people after whatever ceremony so we can integrate, to speak, to share, and to for all of us to kind of get together and learn from each other's experiences. So it's an amazing tool to embody and to integrate what we just went through. So this is called mambe, and this one is called ambil, coca and tobacco.
Yeah, it's very true that that both of them have been misused, and clearly you can see when tobacco is misused, it will kill you.
Exactly.
And the same with coca. And if the coca leaf is turned into cocaine, it will kill you if you use it irresponsibly. And it's not medicinal, but I do recall when I lived in Colombia looking at the packaging of pure coca leaf, and they had the vitamin breakdown of the leaf, and it has everything in it
Yeah,
that, like, it is so good for you. And yeah, just putting it, making tea out of it, you get a nice little bit of a little bit of energy, kind of like caffeine, but your body just feels so good, and it really just helps center you. So that's one medicine that I can see helping people kind of come back after purging, and then something they can take with them to, back into reality to
absolutely.
to help integrate, the word
It's a
integrate.
very it's a very earthly medicine. It's not like a psychedelic that's gonna take you back out there. And like you said, it's a superfood. So it's high in all the B vitamins and especially high in magnesium, which 90% of the population is deficient in. And magnesium is the powerhouse of the cell. So on a physical level, it's going to give you a lot of energy, like physical energy. And it's not like taking an espresso or taking caffeine that it like puts you up and then kind of brings you down at some point. It's a very like stable, consistent energy. It's not like overly stimulating in which you're like shaky and like you can't really function. It's really subtle. So it's beautiful in that way as well.
Nice. How long do the ceremonies last then? If you're going through all of these steps and these different types of medicine, are they one day? Are they 3 days? Can you get into that in a little more detail, or what do you typically do?
Sure. So, I mean, the combo ceremony by itself, just with the rape and the sananga, the whole ceremony will last about an hour and a half. So, in comparison to a lot of the other different types of ceremonies, for example, ayahuasca or peyote or mushrooms, which are 4, 5, 6, 7 hours, the combo is like really quick, really quick. But now with the full process of like the integration and the sharing circle, it can be up to 2 to 3 hours. So
Great.
not that long.
And you guys, do you offer multiple day retreats where you work every single day and really dive into the person?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so the individual ceremonies are great, but the whole to really go deep and like release all of these blockages and traumas and to like pretty much reset our entire body, um, it's good to do a retreat because the retreat is usually in a place that like just being there at the place is medicine itself. Like you're surrounded by mountains, you're surrounded by all the elemental spirits, by natural rivers, waterfalls, you're grounded like feet barefoot on the earth. And then on top of that we add the yoga, the breath work, the food right from the land, and then the ancestral medicines. It's a cocktail for you to really really dive deep and like let go and shed those layers, and come out really light and vibrant. So there's usually a specific order in which we do each medicine. So usually, for example, we do 6, 7, 8, 10 day retreats, and also we do weekend retreats, so 3 day. So we always start with the first pillar, which is the body. So we go into the combo first, usually in the morning, and then the night of, we'll go into another type of medicine, whether it's ayahuasca, whether it's mushrooms, whether it's jopo. Jopo is similar to ayahuasca. And then the next day, we'll go into what's called the temazcal, or an ancestral sweat lodge, which is one of the first original medicines used by the indigenous people. And that medicine is like a little igloo, and then you put hot volcanic stones inside that have been heated by the fire for 3 or 4 hours, so they're coming in bright red.
Hmm.
They go into the middle, and then you put water with different herbs on top of the stones, and that vapor makes us sweat, and it cleans out all of our lungs. And then we sing native chants. It's a very beautiful ceremony to close and to also purify, and it's done without substance, so it's also very good. And with the longer retreats, we do each one of the medicines that I just said, just more times to go deeper and deeper. So we would do 3 combos, and then we do 2 to 3 ayahuasca, and then we do other medicines, but it's all in a specific order and a specific design.
That sounds really intense to
Yeah,
do combo and ayahuasca in a same retreat. I imagine that's really purifying of the body, but also difficult to go through. What types of healings do you see after these longer retreats? Like, can you recall one that you just like, wow, that person healed from that and that was amazing? Is there anything specific that comes to your mind right away?
yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's many that like just pop up, but
Yeah,
people
tell the
like
top three if you want.
yeah, so a lot of people come with like chronic fatigue, especially people from the West, like that whole go, go, go mentality and like not being able to stop and just be. Like we're just human doings instead of human beings a lot of the time. So it's like do, 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 do. So the retreat gives an opportunity for there to be a space of do, be, and then it keeps going. Do, be, do. And it becomes like a beautiful melody. So creating that reset is has been beautiful for people to just reset their central nervous system. And like the healing that I've seen, not only with people with chronic fatigue, but cancer, tumors, and in a 10-day retreat, like this guy came from California, and it was this big muscular dude. He seemed pretty healthy, like physically, but as soon as he raised like his left arm, he had this huge baseball tumor right here, right where the lymph is.
Yeah.
And just after the combo, we hadn't even finished the retreat. The tumor was already like the size of like a grape, where at the beginning it was the size of a baseball, just because
Wow.
all of the drainage through the combo, and since it works the lymphatic system, like it was like quick. And then after the entire retreat was over, he never had to get chemo, and eventually the tumor was totally dispelled without any interference like from the outside, without having to do any type of surgery. So that was like the most visible, like the most tangible result that I have recently seen. But yeah, I mean, that's just one of the many, many cases of people, not only with physical ailments, but also like emotional traumas, abuse, people being able to forgive like a lot of stuff that happens in our childhood and we don't remember, and also veterans being able to come back from PTSD, from like different types of mental disorders. And it's honestly so heart filling and just fulfilling in general to see how people arrive in a certain space and a certain energy, and then how they're able to leave just like happy with the smile, that sparkle in their eyes, and just man, you see that it's like it's so tangible.
That they come in like caterpillars and then they go into the cocoon of your healing
Exactly.
and they just dissolve and then they turn into butterflies and fly out of your retreat.
Yeah.
That's amazing. The that he had a full size baseball. I mean, and it just disappeared. Were you working specifically just with combo when that happened, or did you use multiple different modalities?
We were using multiple different modalities, but we saw like a huge advancement just with the combo. Like
Hmm.
after the 3 combos back to back to back, so 1, 2, and 3 days, like the tumor was already like the size of a grape. And then as we progressed onward on the retreat and finished, it was even smaller and smaller. And then like the aftermath, like a couple of weeks after the retreat, we stayed in touch, and he was good. He was fine. He went to the doctors, the whole shebang. The doctors couldn't believe it. They were asking like, "Where were you? What'd you do?" And
Who did you see? What other doctor? Let me know. So not only are you shaman, you're the shaman doctor. That's
ancestral medicine, it's the
ancestral.
original medicine, because the medicine that we're seeing now is very invasive, and it doesn't allow the body, it's like negating the own body's intelligence to be able to heal itself. And like these plants are have been here for centuries, and for a reason, like the pharmaceutical companies don't want these original medicines to come back to us, because they empower us again, and they give us strength, and they help us remember who we are and why we're here. So in a way, it goes back to that war on consciousness.
Yeah, we're seeing the shift. It's happening slowly, but I think at a little faster pace than it was the last 20 years or so. People are starting to wake up and realize that they can get medicine naturally. This is why I started this podcast, is really just to open up the doors for people to see into different modalities, to see that there's people like yourself that can heal with the medicines from the earth, with from the indigenous people. You talked about even like doing the sweat lodge. I did one with the Lakota indigenous tribe here in the United States, and it was about, well, 10, 12, 15 years ago. It was, and it was really intense. I was really surprised at how difficult it was. It gets
Yeah.
very hot inside those. They do cook those stones in the fire like all day long. And I remember they were putting tobacco on the stones, and then they carry them in, and you go in, and it's a really tight space. And then they pour the water on there, and so it's amazing because they have been doing all of this for so long, and we just got so disconnected from it. And now we have the power of the internet, and people getting to hear stories like the one you just shared about the guy with the baseball. And that's someone hearing this or watching this is going to be like, well, I don't need to go have chemo in order to survive cancer. Chemo has its place. Sometimes you might need
Absolutely.
both. You may need both, but you may not. So it's good to, if you're not, in stage 4 and have a week to live, it might be a good opportunity to try the natural side first. And because chemo has long-term results, unfortunately, it
Hmm.
really, you um, can lose teeth. Obviously, you lose your hair. Chemo can be really harsh on the body. So these
Yeah.
natural modalities are just such a better alternative.
Yeah, and it's not like negating Western medicine, because Western medicine is great. Like if you have like some sort of accident, you need surgery right away, like it's great, but it's not like, you can't let the disease get to that point when we're talking about disease. So what
Hmm.
the natural and ancestral medicine does is, not only does it heal the disease, but it allows you to know the root cause of why the disease happened in the first place. So that's
Yes.
bringing consciousness, that's bringing light into the darkness, because unconsciousness is darkness. So when we bring consciousness to the root cause of what made that sequence of event happen, to the cause, whatever that is, we're able to not repeat that. And that is the most important thing, because for me, it's and another thing that I wanted to like set clear is that it's like, I'm not doing the healings. Like I'm simply a channel and a messenger that, through me, source, God, whatever, the universe, whatever you want to call it, works through me, because I've already opened the channel. And we all have the ability to open up those channels and to be healers and to be mediums. And we all have these gifts. It's just a matter of, like I said before, it's like shedding those layers and detoxifying and cleaning. So my purpose is not to be a master or a guru, because that's like from last century. Like everyone is waking up now, and it's like, I want to empower people, for them to, okay, you're healed, all right, get out of here, I don't want to see you here again. It's not like that patient that is constantly coming in to see the doctor, and he gets the pills and then couple months later, he comes back, same thing. Like once you're good, like see ya. I don't want to see you anymore around here. I want you to empower yourself and also spread the word or learn whatever it is, whatever healing technique you want, and then go out there and heal people, which is kind of like the opposite of what's going on.
Yeah. Right now we're on a system that is dependent on coming back to get your prescription refilled. And so this is exactly why the pharmaceutical companies do not want natural medicine to be available on a large scale, because they're going to lose a lot of money and a lot of control of the people when we're able to start healing ourselves and healing our loved ones and our friends. And this is amazing. I'm really excited to dive deeper into these modalities as we go. I was completely clueless about the Kambo Frog until I read the article that was talking about you, and I was like, wow, this sounds really out there. I have to know more. And from what it sounds like, there's some celebrities that have already, tried it. Joe Rogan and
Yeah.
Mike Tyson, I think, even talks about it. And they were doing it years ago from what I was reading. So there are people way ahead of myself. How long ago did you start working with the Kambo? How many years ago?
I started 7 years ago with the Kambo.
7 years ago.
Yeah.
Wow.
And my family's on board now. My grandma, I work with kids. So since the Kambo is known as the vaccine of the jungle, imagine like that whole thing that we're dealing with now with the whole COVID vaccine.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the vaccine of the jungle. It's the nature's vaccine. So
Yeah.
imagine if instead of putting all these crazy chemicals, aluminum, mercury, and stuff that can harm us, we don't know, and stuff that we don't even know is in these things, to go back to nature and receive a natural way of empowering our body, our immune system. So my daughter, she just turned 1 year and 4 months, and I did Kambo on her. Obviously, you put a less of a dose,
Mm-hmm.
and obviously babies are a lot purer than we are, so they don't have a lot to purge and a lot to cleanse. But it activates her immune system, so she never gets sick, and that's going to save us a lot of time, energy, and money from going to doctor's visits and all of these things. So that's the mission, man.
Yeah.
Spreading this on a larger scale to also whoever feels the calling, because it's not a quick fix either, and it's not easy. It's not like you're taking a pill and then the symptom is gone, but like the disease is still there. Like we explained the process, and it's difficult. You have to purge. It's confronting. It takes a lot of courage and bravery to see those shadow aspects of yourself, but it's worth it. It's
Yeah.
worth it.
Wow, I didn't know that you can do it on much younger children. That's interesting. But building their immunity up at that age is so key. And also I would assume that you're really opening up their third eye and their
Mhm.
consciousness at a young age. So you're changing the world really one person at a time. And that's beautiful. That's so
Planting
beautiful.
those seeds, man.
Yeah. I know we brushed on this last episode, and I wanted to get deeper into it today. The retreat that your guys' center has an initiative that protects the land and the water. Could you explain about what the water is, and then why you guys are protecting it, and where?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, this is pretty much the reason why we do what we do, because like deeper than just serving the medicine and doing ceremonies and hosting retreats to heal people is to take care of the land and take care of the resources. And for example, there's the water, and then there's the ancestral seeds. So the original seeds, the organic seeds of each and every fruit, plant, and herb. And who are the guardians of those seeds? The indigenous people. Like now we have hybrid crops, a bunch of different plants and fruits that are made by man. So that information is coming into us and subtly changing our DNA. So the indigenous people have, that's kind of like the gold of the future. If they have those original plants and seeds from the earth, they're looking for people that are going to be taking care of the land in order for them to give us those seeds. They're not going to give those seeds to just anyone. And the same thing with the water. So where we're at in the eco community of Tierra de Agua, land of water, like the name says it itself, it's a land with pristine water sources, virgin, electric, pure water that's connected to what's called La Sierra Nevada, which is a mountain in the coast of Colombia, which is known to be the heart chakra of the world, so, or the heart organ of the world. So the Mother Earth is a feminine, so it's a woman. So the indigenous people know that this being, this sentient being, has organs and has chakras, just as we have organs and chakras, the earth has the same thing. So they know, for example, where the lungs are of the earth, where the heart, where the brain, where the uterus or the vagina is. So according to the Kogis in Santa Marta, the rivers that connect to our retreat center are part of the arteries of the heart chakra of the world. And these rivers have yet to be touched by man. And right now, since the governments and the hydroelectric companies know, I don't think they know that it's like the artery of the world or whatever, but they want to come in and exploit those resources.
Mm-hmm.
But what we're doing through the retreats is we're receiving also funds to buy more land and take care of those waters, because the external waters are what's in, like whatever's in is out. So like as within, so without, as above, so below. So the waters represent our emotions. So however the waters of the earth are represent how we are emotionally. So it's like a really deep subject, because the water is like we're water. So it's part of like our DNA structure. It's part of everything. It's like the basis of the diet. It's what's gonna give nutrients and nourish our plants and our crops. So like on a larger scale, that's the mission that we're doing, is to take care of that water, because that's the what our kids are going to be drinking, and our future generations are going to be drinking. So that's pretty much in essence what we're doing besides the retreats. It's all tied in together.
That's beautiful. So you're healing people and healing and protecting the earth. It's just, this is not even a better mission than that in life, honestly. Like, it's very fulfilling. I would assume that's really
Yeah.
fulfilling. And so that is why anybody who's listening and watching, is why you need to do your research of if you're thinking about going to do one of these ceremonies and doing ayahuasca or doing Kambo, or look into the retreat center where you're going. Are they doing it for profit, or are they doing it for nonprofit reasons? Because right now, unfortunately, there are a lot of places in Peru that you can go and do ayahuasca and stay at a 5-star hotel, and pay thousands and thousands of dollars, $3,000, and that money's not going back into the community. Maybe some of it may be going back in the community, but not all of it. And their intentions aren't like yours, and that's beautiful. I that's the first time I've heard about the water being the arteries of the, the rivers being the arteries of the Mother Earth, and that makes a lot of sense, and it's really beautiful. And the first time I heard that the Sierra Nevadas are the heart chakra. I know I was reading that scientifically the earth, has a frequency and it resonates, and there are bands that go around the earth, and they're always in a certain frequency. I can't remember the exact frequency, but when our heart chakra is open and aligned, it has the exact same frequency as the earth. And so just like, when you strum a guitar and make, there's
Mhm.
those going right around the earth. And so when we go into that meditative state and when we open up our heart chakra, we're able to completely tune into the same frequency of the earth and be one. So yeah, that's really,
Absolutely. That
really
frequency
beautiful.
that you're talking about is 432 hertz.
432. Okay, that's what it is. Yeah.
So it makes a lot of sense, man, because think about it. Like we're kind of working backwards right now. Like we're trying to bring consciousness to people to take care of the environment, to recycle. But if people are sick and their internal terrain and their internal environment is shit, and they feel like crap all the time, and they're sick, and they see the earth as like a hell, like what's going to make them want to take care of these things? So like through the medicines and through like remodifying the internal terrain first, so you can feel good and then really be able to appreciate the beauty that surrounds you. I think that's the first step. It's like you do the work inside of you first, and then
Mm-hmm.
just by doing that you begin to attract other things that are in alignment with what you're putting out. So it's not going on the outside first and trying to solve the problem. It's going inside. Change is going to be done by the individual first.
That's a valuable lesson right there. Is you must heal within first before you plan on healing anything else, or before you want to love yourself deeply, be completely happy with what's going on, feel good, and then you will have nothing to look at inside, and you will start looking outward of what else you can help and make better. That's great. Well, before we finish up, let's how often do you guys do retreats? And then we'll give your information again so people can follow up with you.
Cool. Well, we do retreats pretty much every month. So we do 2 3 day, like a weekend retreats, and then we do every month we do a 5 to 6 day, so like a little bit less than a week retreat. And then twice a year, we're working on doing it 3 times after like the whole restriction stop. We do a 10-day immersion. So I think right now what's like really hitting the spot are like the 3 days. Like people are coming in and it's an intense process, like boom, boom, boom. And it's like a perfect start to like dive into this whole world of the ancestral ceremonies, these technologies. And yeah, I feel like it's a good beginning to either start with the 3 day or the week long before diving into the 10 day. And like myself personally, like I'm not there all the time at the retreat center, so I do individual sessions as well. So I pretty much have ceremonies every day, whether that's Kambo, whether that's Bufo, which is the Sonoran desert toad frog, the 5-MeO DMT, which is another medicine, the mushroom ceremonies, the Temazcal sweat lodge. So yeah, I'm pretty much full on working with these tools day in and day out. So yeah.
That's awesome. The let's go back real quick. The bufo toad, the Sonora Desert, where is it from?
So Bufo is the most powerful psychedelic on earth. So they say it's 10 times stronger than ayahuasca, but it's a very short journey. It's like 15 minutes and it's smoked through a pipe. So this toad is underground in the Sonoran Desert toad, which is right on the border of Mexico and the States. And it's underground for about 10 months of the year. And it comes out the other 2 months to procreate. And when it comes out, they extract the medicine similar to the Kambo frog, but the frog doesn't have pores. The toad has pores. So it's kind of like popping a pimple. So they kind of pop the pimple of the toad, and the toad is not hurt either. I mean,
Yeah,
that would defeat the whole purpose. And the pimple, like the secretion, is like placed on a piece of glass, and then that dries out and it becomes a crystal form, which you scrape out, and it has like this gold color. And that resin, that secretion, you put it in a pipe and you smoke it. It's crazy how, like, if you ask the question, like, who who would have thought to smoke a toad's venom? Who was the first person to do that?
yeah. That was about to be my next question.
So that goes back to like the origin of, because the toad, this specific Bufo alvarius, is the only toad that you can smoke without actually dying. That has DMT, because there's a bunch of other toads that have DMT, but it has other compounds that if you smoke, you die. This one, like, you do die, but it's not a literal death. It's an ego death.
Ego death.
So in a lot of the pyramids in Mexico and Guatemala and all of Central America, symbolically the toad is there, whether it's in statues, whether it's the spiral, whether it's the molecule of the toad, it's in all the hieroglyphics. So they say theoretically that the first people that smoked the toad were the indigenous people. Obviously, they didn't have glass pipes like we do today, but they had tobacco.
Yeah.
So maybe they received the message from the spirit world or through another entheogenic plant, kind of like the Kambo story, which the ayahuasca, remember? The ayahuasca told the shaman about the Kambo spirit.
Yeah.
So they theorized that the same thing happened with the bufo, that they were under the effect of some other plant or some other ritualistic ceremony where they received the information, and then with the tobacco, whether a cigar, they took the toad and took a little bit and started smoking, and it, boom, wow.
I'm going to dig into this more and find out this story. Maybe it came through like Wachuma, or something like came through through mescaline. Somehow they found out about this, and they all connect. They all connect. Is it so? The DMT. I'm not familiar with this, and I know you can extract DMT from like grass, from plants. And is there different types of DMT, or is DMT DMT?
There's different types.
Okay.
So the one in bufo is 5-MeO, which is stronger. The ones that are in ayahuasca and changa or mimosa, which are the plant forms, the plant extracts of DMT, have different information and are slightly different molecularly. So some of the DMTs, for example, the ayahuasca one, has to go through the stomach, and it needs an MAO inhibitor, which is like a catalyst through which it can absorb well in the body. But the difference, I would say, from, for example, DMT extracted from plants or synthetic DMT made by man in comparison to the bufo, is that the bufo has not only DMT, it has a bunch of other alkaloids and components that are in the secretion of the toad. And it's also the spirit of the animal that's coming in there and that's also guiding you. So an easy comparison would be for those that know of LSD and mushrooms. So LSD is like also psychedelic, and it's pretty much your own consciousness. It can bring a lot of teachings, but when you take the mushroom, it's like the mushroom is speaking to you as well. It's the entity of the mushrooms, the spirit, that connection that it had with the earth and where it came from, that's kind of guiding your experience as well. So that would be a huge difference between the different types as well, is the spirit of each plant or each animal.
Yeah, that's a great comparison, is like the LSD and the mushrooms, being able to connect with the earth with the mushroom versus the LSD, which was man-made. So that makes a great comparison. Well, now I feel like we have to do a part 3 and jump into the Bufu toad. We'll revisit as the episodes, as I find out more information, we'll come back and do another episode later. And I'm sure you'll have more too that you'll find out as you continue to heal and run these centers. And I'm sure you'll have another story or two of miraculous healing. So I can't wait to hear about that. Let's remind the listeners of how they can get a hold of you and the viewers.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me, first of all. Thanks, Jordan. It's been a pleasure, man. And yeah, people can reach me at angelichealing@protonmail.com. Also on social media, Juan15 Dharma. And I'm sure you'll spell it in the show notes. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Awesome.
We're working on an actual website for the retreat center. So that's in progress right now. So I'll shoot you that once it's done.
Yeah, let me know. I'll throw that on the notes as well in the video and in the podcast, so people can find you easily and come get that healing that they're looking for.
Absolutely, brother.
Juan Pablo, thank you so much for your time. I can't wait to have another conversation with you in the future.
Aho, hermano. Blessings. Gracias.
Take it easy.